George Clarke, welcome to my podcast.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You literally just walked in and we just sat down. You had a couple of cancelled Ubers, so you've been walking here in the Auckland humidity.
That's why I'm looking a bit hot and sweaty with slightly greasy looking hair, to be honest, so apologies for that.
So how are you? What brings you to NZ?
I'm filming a new series. Actually, it's a kind of co-commission between Sky Open and Channel 4. So Channel 4's, they're my bosses in the UK, basically. And I'm doing about a whole series about homes in the wild. George Clarke's Homes in the Wilds. You've probably noticed that when you look online, every single program's got my name in front of it, just in case people forget who I am, I think.
Yeah, there is actually, well, no, I've got the list here.
Go
so
on.
there's
you're not going to go through them all, are you? There's a lot.
George, you've only got an hour. So George Clarke's Amazing Spaces. I think that's the one that most people in New Zealand probably associate with you.
Yeah, I think it's probably the biggest globally, really.
Yeah.
In fairness.
There's also Build a New Life in the Country, The Home Show, The Restoration Man. Oh, that's a big one here as well, The Restoration Man.
Good.
Old House, New Home.
Yeah.
Ugly House to Lovely House.
Yeah.
Is that the lot? Or
there's a few more. But
is there really?
Let's not go there. Yeah, there's definitely more. Flipping Fast was a series that I made. Yeah, we can go on and on, but I won't.
Yeah, amazing. So, how's New Zealand been? I follow you on Instagram, so you've been here for a while.
I've been here for a month. Over a month, actually. It's been great. So we've actually just finished yesterday the New Zealand leg of the series. So I'm doing 4 episodes in New Zealand, 2 episodes in Australia. So I head off on Monday to Australia. But New Zealand's great. I mean, I've been many times before. I love it. You know, great people, beautiful landscapes, and great houses, thankfully. That's why I'm here, to see homes in the wild. So we've been... The premise of this series is not just about wild homes, but homes on islands, kind of island living, off-grid, predominantly off-grid living. So, yeah, I've been to Great Barrier. I came back from Marlborough Sounds yesterday. I was in Rakino. I was in Kawo. Not Kawau, as people call it here. How do you pronounce it?
I don't know what island you're talking about.
Do you not?
Was it
Kawo? Kawo.
K-A-W-A-U?
I don't know how to spell it. I can't even speak English properly. I'm trying to get around the New Zealand pronunciations of stuff. Yeah. Never mind spell it. No, Kawo. So it's not too far from here. But I think a lot of Kiwi say Kawau, which is not the right pronunciation.
Do you get recognised in New Zealand quite a bit? Have you been recognised when you've been out and about?
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah, no, a lot, actually. I think the shows, well, you probably know better than me, I think the shows do really well. Amazing Spaces, as you mentioned, is the biggest brand, really. I think it's such a unique programme. I mean, I'm making season 14 of that at the minute. It's been going since 2012. And it's funny, actually, because if you think, I'm a trained architect and, I've done all this kind of very serious education for many, many years. And yeah, Amazing Spaces is about kind of caravans and camper vans and tree houses and quirky, quite unusual, bizarre builds, really. Quite eccentric. It's quite an eccentric series, which is what I love about it. But yeah, I get recognised quite a lot here. It's great. I mean, everyone's lovely. Everyone's so adorable. I mean, everyone's super positive about the programmes, and you all love your houses and your DIY. You're nearly obsessed as the Brits are about property, really. So, no, it's good fun. It's great.
What do people say when they come up to you?
That's quite a good question. The reason why I'm laughing so loudly is, and I don't mean to offend anybody, I'll just get that caveat out there beforehand, right? The phrase, for some reason, that New Zealanders say to me, as soon as they meet, I think I'm going to get some excuses in, just in case I do offend somebody. I think because you're such a beautiful remote country, you're a million miles away from anywhere, which is what makes it amazing. You've kind of got everything that you need here. You've got everything. You've got great wine country, beautiful walks, outdoor sports, great restaurants. You do everything. You produce so much of your own stuff.
But
I think everyone's quite surprised that people come here because it's so far away. So the phrase is, "Hi, George, how long are you here?" Right? Now, I thought it was like people trying to get rid of me. It's like, is he here for a week? Is he going to get lost? Is he going to stay for a month? Do we have to call immigration? And honestly, the phrase is, "Hey, George, how long are you here?" And I think it's, in fairness, I think it's like a sense of pride because you're chuffed to bits that people have travelled so far to come because you are quite remote. And I think people are genuinely intrigued. Why have you come? Why are you here? How long are you here? And it makes me laugh because I'll say, does it make any difference whether I'm here for 2 nights or 2 weeks? And they go, nah, not really. Stay as long as you want, mate. But that is the number one question. Honestly, it's even what are you doing here comes after that. It's a time thing.
By the way, that is the most English thing ever, that you thought people might be offended by that. It's another thing about most New Zealanders aren't easily offended. I thought you were about to say something really shocking.
No. I'm going to say anything shocking about New Zealanders. I'm genuinely the most positive people, really welcoming people. People bend over backwards.
What is your favourite place in the NZ?
Ooh, that's too difficult, I think. I love the Coromandel, beautiful coastline. I would put Marlborough Sounds right up there. I'd never been before until Monday, Tuesday this week. I flew out and I left there yesterday. And I even did a piece to camera saying it's one of the most beautiful places I've been to in my life. It's just so beautiful with all the lakes and the mountains. And I know the weather can be pretty kind of turbulent in that part of the world, but you go to Queenstown. The list can go on and on. I've travelled around New Zealand a lot. I came here the first time in 2016, I think, for Amazing Spaces. And I've been back many times since. I've got family here. My uncle.
Your uncle and auntie. I read about this. Where are they?
They're in Hamilton.
Right.
They've got a little batch in Whiritoa, and I stayed at the batch quite a lot. And yeah, it was brilliant for me actually. So my without boring people for too long, I'm from the northeast of England, from a place called Sunderland, which is about 10 miles away from Newcastle. And my uncle, he was a soccer player. And he was playing for Newcastle back in the day. This is in the early 80s. And he got picked up by a soccer scout to come to New Zealand. And he emigrated here. I think he was like 19 or something. He was really young. And he was my hero, my Uncle Stuart. He still is. He's there in Hamilton. And when he left, he couldn't have got any further away from Sunderland. You know what I mean? It's God knows how many miles to get to Dunedin, which is where he landed. And so when I was growing up, when I was a very young teenager, I was like 12, 13, 14, New Zealand was like the dream place for our family. Whenever he sent kind of newspaper cuttings of him playing soccer, and he'd send postcards and he'd take photographs, get them printed and send them back to England. And we just looked at New Zealand thinking it was absolute paradise, and it kind of is.
It's such a long way to come, though, isn't it?
It is. How long are you here?
Yeah, that's why we ask. I put on Instagram that you were coming here, and there's heaps of questions, mainly architecture-based.
Great.
We'll get to them. But first of all, when it comes to New Zealand, like architecture, design and style, what are we doing right and what are we doing wrong?
You're very good with ecological design. You're very good at building houses that blended with nature, which I'm a massive fan of. Yeah. I think it's one of the reasons why I love your architecture here so much. I'm obviously into sustainable design and buildings that work in harmony with the landscape rather than fight against it. And I'm really, really impressed by some of the houses. Some of them blend in with the surroundings really, really beautifully. I've seen some fantastic pieces of architecture in the last few weeks. So I'd put that right up there. What do you do badly? Not much, really. Just avoid building in too much plastic, I would say. I've seen a lot of plastic. It's one of the. It's the same in England. Some of the kind of mass-built suburban stuff can sometimes not look great because it's just rolled out on a big scale.
Oh, like McMansions, do you mean? Or just like prefab?
Just boring.
Right.
Like if you just, you know what I mean? I just don't like middle of the road boring stuff. I think there's no excuse for bad design, right? Like genuinely, I think there's no excuse. So people say, oh, well, we didn't have the budget. It's like, you know what I mean? I worked on some really low budget projects in my architectural practice back in the day, and we never built anything bad. You know what I mean? So I think sometimes like lazy design produces poor quality buildings. I don't think it's just about budget. Obviously, budgets can be a challenge. I get that, but I just don't like boring. I just don't like middle of the road stuff. I don't think there's much of an excuse for it.
Yeah, and not that I want to shit on my own back doorstep, but I'm guessing because you're the architecture guy, so whoever's like driving you around isn't going to take you to the rather pedestrian areas. Like they'll be like, don't.
But I've driven myself around a lot. I've driven myself. I've literally hired cars and driven all over New Zealand, mainly the North Island. I tried to drive all the way from Auckland down to Queenstown and realised just how big your country was, and that I was losing a lot of time. So I ended up driving from Auckland to Wellington. You're Palmerston North, aren't you? Yeah, I went through Palmerston North.
How did you know that?
I'll check you out. You know?
And there is that Palmerston North is not an amazing place.
I went to
by the way.
Palmerston North. I stopped
Did
off.
you?
I had some Thai food in Palmerston North when I was on my little road trip. I remember.
How was the food poisoning?
It was good, actually. Yeah. It took me months to get over it. No, I'm joking. And then I got to Wellington. I was like, I'm going to have to take a flight to Queenstown. This country's way bigger than I thought. So I've driven around all sorts of areas in New Zealand. So it's not like I've had a driver just taking me around the posh bits.
Yeah. Well, I stalked you on Instagram. You've done well for yourself here. You had an Aston Martin for a while. You had a Polestar electric car for a while.
Do you know what? Everyone's so generous in New Zealand. I got given a pair of socks this morning.
From where?
I thought that was adorable.
What's the context?
I went in and bought these trainers. Can I put this on your
Yeah, of course.
These are Reeboks. I normally don't post about things like that, but these are a classic pair of Reebok trainers, and I've never bought Reeboks since I was 16. And the guys in the shop were like absolutely brilliant. And I bought them and I walked out, and I was texting someone back in the UK as I walked back towards Queen Street. And I must have been there for about 10 minutes, and then the guy just came running out the shop and said, "My boss wanted you to have these socks." Your response was amazing there.
It's just so random. But it's
then coming back to your point, I drove a very ecological Polestar, which I drove around on camera a lot as well, which was really beautiful. And then I went off. That car had to go back for lots of boring reasons. And then Giltrap gave me a Aston Martin DB12. I'm a big Aston Martin fan. It was my dream car when I was a kid. You know, James Bond, British built, beautiful design, kind of classic piece of design. I'm not really into kind of cars that are too showy, you know, like Lamborghinis and Ferraris and all that sort of stuff. But the Aston Martin for me was always a dream from Bond films when I was a kid. I bought my first one, second-hand, by the way. I didn't go out and buy a new one. I bought a second-hand one years ago.
He's a man of the people.
No, not really that. It was just like, so it's because I'm too tight. I'm from the northeast of England. I just didn't want to pay all the VAT. So now I got a DB9 back in the day and realised it was completely impractical when I had kids and got rid of it. So yeah, I had this Aston Martin DB12, which I will genuinely say was the best car I've ever driven in my life. It was beautiful. And to take it to Waiheke, I mean, bit over the top. You know, people kind of saw me on the ferry and probably thought I was a right dick. And that was without the car. No, I'm joking.
It's interesting though, eh? So you get to the point where, you know, I don't know, like you became famous quite old, eh? Like 30-ish, I guess.
Yeah, but it took me 7 years to train as an architect. Yeah. I didn't get out of university until I was 24, 25.
Yeah.
Is 30 old? Do you know 30 has been old?
Well, not like, I'm old as shit, I'm 52, but it's not like boy band old.
I'm only 2 years behind you, mate. I'm not that far. No, I mean, genuinely, I started university at 18 and you don't it took... It's 7 years of architectural studies, and I took an extra year when I was working in Hong Kong for a while. So, you know, I was kind of 25, 26 when I finished all my studies, and then started in TV when I was 29.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about your journey and a bit of the background. So, I believe your granddad, he introduced you to architecture with books.
Yeah, he bought me. So my granddad was a builder.
They both were, right?
Both my granddads, yeah. But my mum's dad, Edward, he was a builder. He put his hands to anything, really. He worked on a farm when he was younger, when he was very, very young, because he had to kind of provide for the family. And he ended up becoming a trawlerman, a fisherman in his later parts of his years. And but yeah, he was a builder. And when he used to take me to building sites, he used to push muck around. He would build all sorts of stuff. And he bought me the glossary of architectural terms when I was 11, 12 years old. And I knew at 12, I used to draw a lot and sketch a lot. My granddad was a builder. I spent time on building sites. So I knew I wanted to be in building somehow, but I loved to draw. My dad was a bit of a kind of amateur cartoonist. He used to love drawing and doing cartoons and sketches. I used to draw with him. So I think that combination of my granddad being a builder and my dad sketching and drawing, I was probably always destined to become an architect. And my granddad knew that, so he would buy books for me to encourage me into it even more. And I love it because it's a way of life for me. It's not a job. Yeah. You know, I love it.
And then you had a careers advisor that sort of scoffed at the idea when...
Oh God, you have done your research, haven't you?
Why was that? Because you were no good at maths.
I was shit at maths. I still am. I'm terrible at it. Am I allowed to swear on your podcast?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Oh, good. Shit. It wasn't just that I was bad at maths. I hated it. I really couldn't stand it. And it's interesting, everyone goes, how can you become an architect if you don't do maths? I mean, we're not structural engineers. We've got engineers who do all the calculations and the complex stuff. Obviously, we need to do measurement and scale and size, but I could see that. if you asked me like the size of this room, I could have a half decent guess at it, and the height of the room. So anything I could see and measure, that was easy maths for me. I could do areas and volumes and things like that. But when it came to like algebra and equations, it was just numbers on a piece of paper that I couldn't work out. And I went to see this careers advisor, and he said, if you want to be an architect, you need to do maths, English, and something else at A level, which is like 16 to 18-year-old in the UK. I just said, forget it. And he really pissed me off a lot. I was like furious. And we used to have like an old telephone directory in the UK called the Yellow Pages. And I got the Yellow Pages out after that meeting with him when I was 15, and I wrote to every architect in Sunderland and Newcastle, within like 10, 12 miles of my mum's house, and just said, will you give me a job? And this brilliant architect, bless him, he passed away just last summer, David Johnson, he gave me a job when I was 16. So if I saw that careers advisor, I'd actually shake their hand, because they annoyed me so much that I wrote those letters and then got this amazing job. It's to work in an architect's practice when you're 16, when you've wanted to do it since you were 11 or 12, it was like the stuff of dreams, So
it sort of gave you the fuel.
Yeah, I mean, that careers officer made me really angry, and that's why I applied for those jobs. And then I didn't do my A-levels, which then meant, because I'd been in practice for a couple of years before I went to university, I was in quite a good position, because I'd been in an office and learned from architects and designers and technicians. So it was great. And to leave school on a Friday, where I liked the subjects, like everybody. I liked the subjects I liked at school. Art. I played a lot of football, design, English and history. I really enjoyed. I didn't really enjoy the maths and the kind of detailed science stuff. So to leave school on a Friday and start working in architect's practice on a Monday and get paid, I was on £40 a week back in the day. And it was like, I would have done it for nothing.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Back then, can't imagine what you would have done back then for a free pair of socks. Now you can afford
Imagine what I do today for a free pair of socks. I'm still the tight northerner from Sunderland.
But now you can afford them, and it's like, have the socks, Where do you live? Are you Notting Hill?
I am. I'm in West London, yeah. I'm in West London. I've been in West London for 28 years. I left the Northeast. I went to university at Newcastle when I was 18 till I was 21. And then I worked in Newcastle for a year, because you had to do a year in architecture. And then I went down to London, worked for another practice in London, worked for them in Hong Kong for a bit, and then went to University College London for another couple of years to do my master's. But yeah.
And then you're employed as an architect. Are you immediately sort of good?
I don't know about that. That's a great question, actually. Are you immediately good?
No, do you remember, are
you the Mozart of architecture or something?
No, but I don't think. Remember your first house?
I think it varies with people. You can see people who have got a natural instinct for it, I think. When I was at university, there was like 72 students, I think, in my first year. Probably only like 20, 25 of them actually went on to become architects. It's a great course, architecture, because it's like a kind of broad arts design course, and it kind of teaches you to see the world. You're looking at how people live, and you're looking at architecture and the built environment, and you're looking at historic towns and modern buildings. So it makes you more observational, I would say. And so I've got a lot of mates who ended up being architectural photographers, or became writers, or architectural journalists, or went into TV. Some people went into film and became directors. So it's a broad-based kind of creative course. But I just always wanted to be an architect. And obviously, I think being in practice between 16 and 18, I already kind of got the bug.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But are you naturally good at it? I remember when I was at university, one of my tutors saying, George can draw, and which I could because of my dad. And I kind of just had a natural instinct for being able to plan spaces and plan buildings. And I think even at like 17, 18, if someone showed me a plan of their house, I'd probably spot, even without really knowing them or how they lived, just spot some of the issues that might be a problem, or spaces that might feel a bit wasted and weren't being maximised. And quite quickly when I'm on TV, it's interesting, like people think it's all rehearsed when I sketch and draw. That's not. We do it there. And like sometimes someone will just show me a plan, and I'll have walked around their house with them for 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll sit down and I'll go, right, okay, from just meeting you and getting a feel for how you live and looking at the plan and the layout, there's things that I've spotted which I think are a problem, no matter how you live. But then seeing how you and your family relate to each other, I could see how I could make these spaces work. And the generally is there's kind of like 3 or 4 different options. I'll be like, right, option 1, you could do this. Option 2, you could do that. Option 3. And then I kind of work with them on that design to get it right for them. But it's all instinctive.
Yeah, so it was an instinct thing, and now I suppose it's like muscle memory because you've just been doing it for such a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the ferry coming back from Waiheke the other day, and a guy came up to me and he was like, "I hope you don't mind, can I show you the plans of my house?" I did, genuinely. And he said, "Look, this is the house and I'm doing this big extension on there, and, you know, what would you change?" I said, "Well, you know, you could do that, you could do that, you could do that." And I was like, do you need a formal dining room? He's like, "Well, I don't really live like that." And I'm like, "Well, why have you got one on your plan?" You know what I mean? So that's automatically a waste of space. And then by the end of it, he was like, "You know, you've helped me out," and went off and changed these plans, which is very sweet. I get a buzz from that. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I was going to ask. It's very gracious of you. Are you ever like, "Hey, not right now. Now it's not a good time"?
No.
No,
Oh,
good for you.
But, you know, I mean, if I'm really honest, if I'm sitting with my kids having dinner and someone really imposed, I'd be like, "It's my family time with my kids," you know. But I don't even really say that. I'd be like, "Look, I'll handshake and say, do you want a picture? And you want me to sign something? I'll do that. And that takes me, it's only 30 seconds of my time."
Yeah, but rolling out the plans.
I mean, rolling out the plans, if they did that in the restaurant when my kids are there, I'd probably at that point say no. But in fairness to him, I mean, I could even tell he wanted to come over. He was a lovely guy. And he waited until I was on my own.
Yeah. Did he actually have a roll, or were they pictures on his phone?
On his phone.
Oh, you can sort of imagine rolling it out, someone people shaker on the corner.
It's too windy on the way here ferry to do that. You can't roll out the plans.
But also, like, formal dining room, like, who is he? King Charles? Like,
not quite up there. So I think it's on this, people have unusual things. Sometimes, especially when it's an existing house, there's sometimes, I was going to say, leftovers of the previous life of the house. And they sometimes think, "Oh, well, it's always been there and I shouldn't really change that too much. And let's just do the extension. That's the new bit." But I think even when you extend your house, you've got to rethink the entire master plan of the house from the front door.
Yeah.
I mean, he even changed his front door position after the chat that I had with him. I was like, I actually think your door's in the wrong place. And he was like, "Crikey, that's a big move." And I went, "Well, look at the layout." And so, yeah, I don't mind doing it. It's all part of the fun.
You know how pissed off his architect's going to be.
That's also free advice. I did say to him I'm going to send him an invoice at the end. Yeah. So, no, I was joking.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, cool.
10 minutes, cool. No worries.
10 minutes. We've done all right. How long have we gone for?
Has it really? Okay, cool.
Good.
No worries. Some of the clients you've worked for, I don't know if you can talk about this, but I read about this online. Jamie Oliver, you designed his house?
I didn't redesign his house, actually. I redid his restaurant back in the day.
Oh, the restaurant, right.
Yeah, 15. So it was done for TV and it went out, and then he wanted, it was the day, it was before Jamie kind of launched his Italian restaurants, really. He wanted to make them more Italian, so I did that. He's a good mate. We share a birthday. We text each other once in a while. He's a good lad.
Unreal. So does he like request you to do it, or he ask you to do it?
It came through someone. It was before I was on TV. It was way before I was on TV. Jamie wouldn't have had a clue who I was. It was a project manager who was working for Jamie and said, "This guy might be able to help us." So yeah, that's when I met Jamie, and he's become a good mate. I mean, I'm not super close to him, but we text each other once in a while and wish each other happy birthday on the 27th of May because we share a birthday together.
Oh, actually, well, it's easy to remember, isn't it?
It is. He's 50 this year.
There was an internet rumor I read about you, which I found particularly...
We don't want to talk about internet rumors because there's so much bullshit on there. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, this one is bullshit, and you had to come out and say it was bullshit.
Oh, this is a muscular dystrophy one.
Yeah. An internet rumor.
I'm not even going to give that the time of day, Dom.
That's unbelievably...
honestly, the stuff that's made up is... And do you know what? I think with the public must go, "That can't all be made up. I mean, there's got to be some truth out there." And of course there is. But it's unbelievable. The vast... I would even say the majority of stuff that's written about... I mean, I can't speak for anybody else, but that's written about me. It's genuinely, it's made up. And there might be a tiny seed of truth in there, like a tiny, tiny, tiny little seed. And then before you know it, it's just spun into something completely different. I mean, I find it quite kind of, personally, I don't care. Personally, I don't give a shit. It doesn't bother me. It just comes with the territory. Unfortunately, nowadays, it's part of the job. And I'm pretty thick-skinned. It's, if I make a mistake with something, I'll hold my hands up and make a mistake. But the amount of stuff that's made, I mean, for someone who must be very well known, I'm an architect and I make a bit of telly. And, for me, it is genuinely it's a job, it's a passion, and it's a love. But, without getting the violins out, I'm a working class lad from the northeast. Me, you go out and you earn your money, you do your job, and you pay your bills, and put food on the table and look after my kids. And for a super A-lister, oh my God, it must be torture for them, because the stuff that is made up. I mean, that's what you're talking about is one example of many, 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 many things. Many things.
But that's I mean, the paparazzi and tabloid culture in the UK seems like quite troublesome still. But saying you're in a relationship with someone is one thing, but saying you've got like a serious illness is another thing altogether. Like,
it's because it was like they took 2 + 2 and came out with 164. It was just mad. Yeah. And the only thing, as I say, personally, I don't care. I mean, I literally don't care. For me, I take it all with a pinch of salt. It's people can write whatever they want. I know what the truth is, and if they want to just write something, they'll write it anyway. They don't care what I say. And quite often they'll come and say, "Oh, we're going to give you a right to reply," and I just don't bother, because I'm just like, "You're going to write it anyway, or you're going to spin it in another direction." But what upset me about that is that my daughter read that headline because a friend of hers had spotted it on the internet when she was at school. And so my daughter genuinely thought I was ill, and she thought I was not telling her to protect her from it. And that's like, that crosses a big line for me. That's like,
it's problematic.
I'd even go as far to say is like, that's unforgivable when it has a detrimental effect on my kids, even if it's just for 2 minutes. But I had to really speak to her and tell her, like, I'm fine, I'm not ill. And that's what was more upsetting for me when it hurts other people.
Yeah, I'd be seething about that, and there's nothing you can actually do. Hey, I've got some Instagram questions. You're on. Feel like I'm rushing through this because you're on a limited time schedule.
The next thing I was doing, I pushed back.
I mentioned on Instagram you were coming, and the questions are all very sort of architectural based. Please tell me George is here doing a New Zealand episode or series of Amazing Spaces.
So it's not Amazing Spaces. It's George Clarke's Homes in the Wild, brand new series, brand spanking new series.
What's one architectural trend that he wishes would disappear forever?
It's quite a good one. I don't know if it's an architectural trend, because it's not very architectural, but I was talking to my sound man yesterday saying shower curtains. You know, when people have shower curtains, you don't really have them here, to be honest. I think it's more of a British thing. Yeah, the Brits kind of buy these like cheap fabric shower curtains.
Oh no, we've got them here as well.
Do you?
Yeah.
And it's just the most bizarre invention I've ever come across in my life. Because like you stand in the shower and you turn it on, and then the air pressure changes between inside and outside because of the heat and the moisture, and then it like sticks to you. So you try to have a shower in the morning, you're wrestling with this kind of sheet of $20 plastic, and then people step out and there's like carpets on the floor in their bathrooms. I've seen some horrendous bathrooms in my time. I mean, if anything, if people get things wrong more than anything when it comes to finishes, is bathrooms. Why would you have a carpet on the floor in the bathroom?
I feel like that was maybe an 80s thing or a 70s thing.
Still, people have
really?
Still done it. Yeah, it's still around, yeah.
It does seem luxurious though, right?
Just to keep your feet warm.
It feels like people, maybe like lotto winners or like poor people that are thinking, what would a rich person do right now?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. I'm sure there's rich and poor people who've got carpets in their bathroom. I've just offended everyone with carpet in their bathroom.
No. With sustainability being such a big issue, what are some easy ways homeowners can make their homes more eco-friendly?
I mean, insulation's the big one. It's easy. Insulation's pretty straightforward, to be honest. As much as you can insulate, it's like you buying a winter jacket. You know, you buy a jacket to keep yourself warm and wrap yourself up, but preserve some energy. So, insulation's really good. Air source heat pumps, that's a big one. I mean, in the UK, we've got a lot of gas boilers, and people kind of still burn on a lot of gas. And irrespective of gas issues in the world, it just seems bonkers for us to be burning things all the time. So we need to kind of have a clean and green electrified system, really. So that would be one of my tips as well. But insulation is the easy one.
This one might be just too broad to answer, but best advice for first-time home renovators.
Well, that's a tricky one because it depends where it is.
Yeah.
Depends whether that's in New Zealand or the UK and who's listening.
Yeah.
The best advice for that is basically, because it's your first home, I would say invest in it for you. And I know that might sound like a little bit of a cliche, but I generally see that when people take on a property and then do what they want to do and how they want to live and make it feel more homely, it tends to add monetary value as well, because it becomes quite a beautiful thing. So if you ever wanted to sell it to then buy your second home, people will walk in and go, do you know what, this just feels like a nice home. I always say that the best architecture you don't have to be a kind of architectural analyst to check out a good building. You kind of walk into it and go, oh, this feels nice. This feels good. This feels homely. This feels like a beautiful space. And okay, you could then analyze it and go, why is that? Is it because of the light or the proportions or the high ceiling or whatever it might be? But generally it's that like instant feeling when you walk in. And I think if you're a first time buyer and you start doing work on your house, just make it beautiful. Really. Just make it very homely.
Someone wants to know, what is your biggest design pet hate? Shower curtains.
We've kind of half done it, but I mean, bad design. I mean, I know that sounds really generic. I genuinely think there is no excuse for crap design. I really don't. As I say, when I started my practice many, many, many years ago, and I was designing very affordable, there were normally refurbishment projects in London, small apartments and small spaces, because that's where I lived. Some of the budgets we had were absolutely tiny, and we still did lovely work. It took a bit more time, took a bit more effort, but
a bit more thought.
Well, it's thought, and it's sitting there sketching with a pen. The expensive stuff for the client is when they have to build it and buy the materials and pay for trades. For me to sit and sketch and draw doesn't take a lot of time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. When you're working on a problem like that, when you go home, are you able to switch off, or are you constantly sort of just whirring over in the back of your mind?
It whirs over a lot. I mean, I'm pretty good at switching off, he says. I just feel like I've lied to myself there. No, like if I go away for a holiday to go, right, okay, I am just not going to do work. Like quite often, I remember last year, I just turned my phone off completely for a week. Like I literally just didn't respond. I said to everyone, don't even bother emailing me. If there's a problem, just deal with it. Because when you've run your own businesses and you know what I mean, you never really, you can't ever really fully switch off. It's always in the back of your mind. It's not like kind of, I suppose being an employee, you could just say, right, I'm on holiday next week. And even then you probably don't switch off from it if you really like your job. But yeah, I remember just turning my phone off for a whole week last year, and it was amazing. It was great. I'd recommend it. I mean, seriously, because is there anything so bad that somebody else can't really fix it? I mean, you know what I mean? It's not, it's not terrible, is it? If someone really needs to get hold of you for an emergency, they would do it. So yeah, I think for your own kind of health and well-being, turn your phone off on something.
And you get to the end of that time and you think your phone's going to blow up with all these messages and all these fires that you have to put out, but it's never the case, is it?
I don't know if it's just because I'm a bit older and I've had my own businesses since I was 25, since I graduated. You just realise that things get sorted out. Do you know what I mean? Things just get done.
Yeah, life carries on.
Because a lot of times people go, we've got this massive deadline and it's a big problem, and if we don't meet it, the world's going to end. And you're going to go, well, not really. And quite often it's like self-imposed deadlines. Do you know what I mean? You might have a client who just goes, it's got to be done by that week. And you go, well, does it really? Really?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's the perspective of age. No, as in you learn that nothing is that big a deal. Nothing actually matters all that much.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of getting older.
How would you describe the architectural style of New Zealand compared to other parts of the world?
I've kind of done that as well. Really, when we were having our chat beforehand, I think you're very good at ecological design. You're very good at. I can't say too much about them, but I've filmed some pretty incredible pieces of architecture in New Zealand in the last 4 weeks. And some of them have been quite expensive buildings, and others have been very, very affordable buildings, like self-build projects that were done a few years ago. Outstanding, really. I mean, some of it has been, because I'm doing homes in the wilds, there's a lot of homes that have been off-grid anyway. And some buildings that were built in the 70s and 80s that were very, very off-grid on an island back in the day. I just think you've got this amazing connection with landscape and nature here. You've got such a beautiful country. I was flying back from Marlborough Sounds last night, and I just looked out the window and I was just thinking, this place is just green. Green, beautifully green. And I think your architects are very good. They've got a really good touch. And I think they see the importance of designing something to blend in with nature.
Yeah. Do you know of any local architects or designers that you admire?
Yeah. Good mates. Ken Crossan.
Oh, yeah.
He's got an office just around the corner.
He's done some beautiful homes that have won Home of the Year and stuff.
Yeah. A guy called Peter. I don't know if it's Bosley or Borsley. I only met him this week. Peter was just a fantastic man, wonderful architect.
Yeah.
I checked out his stuff online, obviously, before I filmed it, and then I saw one of his houses with him this week, and it blew my mind. So you've got some great architects. But Ken's a good mate. I filmed with Ken for Amazing Spaces back in, I think it was 2016 I came out, if I remember, it might have been 17. And I filmed with Ken. He's become a really good friend. We had dinner last night in Ponsonby.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Well, I saw on Instagram you hanging out with Al Brown as well. Was it?
Oh, I love Al. I love Al.
Was that a TV thing or was that just socially?
When I first came out to New Zealand, that's why I keep saying 2016, 17. Everyone was so welcoming when I came out for the first time. I made so many good mates, really, really good mates that I'm still close to. And I think it was the TV exec producer who I worked with when I was out here, because I did some Amazing Spaces, and then I did some work for Mitre 10. And the production company who did the Mitre 10 work took me out for dinner and just said, we're going to Al Brown's place. And I went to Depot, had dinner with Al Brown, and he's been a really good mate ever since. He's a wonderful man. I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Oh, he's a good guy.
From Instagram, New Zealand. Are we wrapping up?
Right now?
Okay.
I just realised look how greasy my hair is from running here. Look at that.
Oh, no, you look great.
That out and post that. Look at the state of that.
You look great.
Literally, everyone's going to be going, look at that grease ball.
You look great. George Clarke, it's been short and sweet, but it's been wonderful.
I really
enjoyed it so much, mate.
Really enjoyed it.
Appreciate the
Thanks
time.
very much.
Cheers.
Thanks very much.